I have my script.
My name is Ryan Tucker.
Oh, is that on the mic?
Ryan Tucker. I'm from wild South Carolina and West.
The wild South Carolina.
Show starting.
Our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. Our place.
Welcome to the rave. We are Our Place Out Loud. I'm your lovely and captivating host, Louise Palanker, here with a panel of wise and wonderful teens. We've got a lot of kids here tonight. Let me see if I know their names. We've got Will, Jake, Montana, Keo, Ryan.
No, that's not my name.
Nico.
He's going to Syracuse.
Nikki, Sam, and Yulia's on the floor. She's like a Roomba. She's just going to kind of roll around and clean up dirt. Of course, we have Sarah and Jamie in the studio. You have never heard of a Roomba,
vacuums.
Howard?
They're like the little vacuums, and they go
It's a
around, and then when they
little
bump
robot
into something,
vacuum
they go in
cleaner.
another
They
direction.
call it like
From the
Roomba.
future.
Yeah, Roomba. But
Roomba.
I mean, Roomba makes sense too.
Roombot. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll try again later. So I want to do a special shout-out to Becca Shanzer, who's watching us in Texas. Give it up
Becca.
for Becca. Yes, she's our favorite. You could even call in, Becca, 888-531-7171. We would talk to you on the phone. We would. We talk to people from Texas. We've done it before. We'll do it again. We would love for you to follow us on all kinds of social networking. If you do the social networking, you can find us. Usually we are labeled Our Place Network. On YouTube, however, we are labeled Our Place Community, and you can subscribe to our channel, and you'll enjoy. What number show are we on, Jake?
I have no idea.
Really?
Over
190.
100.
Almost
I can
200.
find
Almost
out.
200. Almost 200 fine programs.
We have to have a 200th episode special.
We will have a 200th episode special.
I
and
hope
we-
this isn't the 200th episode.
It's not.
Okay.
If
No,
it
I
is,
don't think so.
special.
We're creeping up on it, but if you were
Musical.
snowbound for
Prize
like
musical.
7 to 8 weeks, you could probably watch episodes of Our Place back to back. There's probably more episodes of Our Place than there are of the Gilmore Girls. So we challenge them to a marathon. No? Yeah, 7 years. Is Rory like a grandmother when it ends? I'm
Was it
binging it right
year-round
now.
weekly episodes? Because 7 years
Yeah.
with year-round weekly
Once a week.
episodes
Yeah,
would be
yeah, it
different. But
I think it was.
year-round?
No,
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 exactly.
no.
That's
Seasonal.
what I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay. No,
Exactly,
regular
it's seasonal.
season.
So
Okay,
here
never
we're
mind.
year-round. I mean, we could
Oh
be
no,
getting
that's why I
close.
meant seasonal. Like during the, not like how Sherlock does it, where it's like we're gonna have one episode every 3 years.
So unfair.
Yeah. Well.
22 tops. But we go relentlessly. We take no breaks. We're just always here. We've got a question from Blake. He writes, so I have a problem. My school has cameras. You guys were just talking about cameras. Is that because you read this question?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Ryan, continue
We have
the
so much in
question.
common.
You read the question.
Blake says, so I have a problem. My school has cameras, so I can't kiss my girlfriend at all. The school has a little amount of people, and a big school, 400 people-ish, has a little amount of people, and a big school, 400 people-ish. It is very hard to see each other out of school. I'm so confused. Sorry, wait.
No, that line does not make sense.
It's a little and a big school. I'll finish reading it,
yeah.
and then we'll get to it. It's very hard to see each other out of school. So what do I do? She has brought up kissing a lot. So have I. But what would happen if we were caught kissing on a camera at school? We also have no classes together. Okay.
So there were no cameras in schools when I went to school, so I don't know of any long-term repercussions to being told, hey, you guys, get a room, or, whatever people say to kids that aren't supposed to be kissing. I don't know that they would take the video and show it to your parents. I just think, aren't the cameras there so that if someone vandalizes the school, they can see who did it? They're not really to catch people kissing, are they? Anyway, Ryan?
I mean, yeah, no, spot on. They're not to look for people who are kissing. But one of the interesting things I've always kind of thought about with, because my school has recently been getting more and more cameras and being more and more strict with their policies as we're growing, and we used to be really small, and now we're starting to grow and progress in that sense. But most of the time, cameras are there so that someone can go back and review if there was a major issue. So if they saw vandalism the next day, they'd be able to go back to that night and see when the vandalism happened. But chances are there's no one sitting in front of a booth watching the camera 24/7 and then reporting everything that happens on it. So as far as that's concerned, I mean, that shouldn't be too big of a worry. Montana?
Okay. Okay, so Ryan and me and Jake, and I think y'all know, we go to the same school, and they've been...
Will.
And Will, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
don't leave Will out.
I meant...
How dare you?
continued in this in my hand motions.
Remember,
Anyway.
you saw Will kissing on the camera. Remember?
Yeah.
Who
Well,
was he kissing?
Just
He was
kissing.
kissing the camera.
I love
Just
He
cameras.
just sat there by himself.
Cameras are so
Anyway,
attractive.
I thought it'd be cool to say our school's getting more tight about like drug rules,
Yep.
and we're getting and we're getting a drug dog whose name is Officer Pup Pup, and it's so cute, and I can't stand
For
it.
clarification, we're not getting a drug dog. They'll just on random occasion bring a drug dog in
Named
from the police
Officer Pup
department,
Pup.
which is supposed to make us feel less intimidated by the fact that there's a drug dog searching our school.
Anyway,
Officer Pup
that's
Pup.
not at all what this question is about. This question, he asks what would happen if we were caught kissing on camera. Literally nothing. They don't care. Even if people see you, like many people, nobody really cares. And if it becomes a problem, they'll talk to you about it. That being said, don't just like go at it at school. Maybe like hang out outside of school, especially if she's your girlfriend, and that's gonna probably hopefully happen anyway, that you'll have an outside of school relationship. Otherwise it's kind of shallow. But for this like fear, don't worry about it. It's fine.
But let's
I've
say
done it plenty of times.
they're so young that they don't really see each other outside of school. Like, let's say it's middle school, then and it's your first kiss. I can see where it would like quadruple the amount of intimidation to attempt to kiss a girl, knowing that it's also being videotaped. It's
Well,
it's
then
scary enough.
There are
too.
tons of places where it's like, well, first of all, nobody's going to watch the videotape ever, pretty much. Unless somebody gets, like, stabbed at the exact moment in time that you were kissing this girl.
Pro
and
tip,
then
don't kiss and stab at the same time.
And then they go back, watch the video, completely ignore the stabbing, and call you out. If that happens, then that's no good. But it's not,
Not likely.
It's not going to happen. That's my point.
And if your school does not have a kissing dog, you probably won't get caught. Will?
I'd say just kind of think of it like a market. You know, whenever you walk into a market, you see the cameras. They're not there. They're just they're really there to see the
Real
serious
crimes,
things. Yeah.
not kissing.
Yeah, I mean,
Kissing
unless you go
bandits.
to like a really strict Make Way for Jesus Catholic school, I'm guessing you don't. But
yeah, they
no,
don't
yeah,
care.
I really, and also you say you have no classes with her. I think if anything, class. I mean, it's gonna sound kind of cliche and stuck up, but I think class time maybe is the time not spent for kissing, is spent for learning.
That's
and
so
then
cliche,
maybe
Will.
outside of class is the time for.
So let's just
that kinda
remove
stuff.
the cameras from the equation. Should
Yeah,
one attempt
pretend
to share one's first kiss at school, or should the first kiss happen somewhere else? Is school not a romantic place to have a first
If
kiss?
it's the
Kyo?
first.
I mean, I don't know if it's romantic or not, but I don't think it's necessarily inappropriate or like a place that you shouldn't. I think it depends on the school and how strict, like what kind of school it is and whether or not they care about what you're doing, and also how old you guys are and everything, because if somebody does see that and you guys are like really young, then they'll probably say something to you or to your parents, and then it'll become an issue. But I think like there's no way that they have the whole school covered. Like I really doubt it. Most cameras have blind spots, and something happens.
Should they really be scoping out camera blind spots?
I
though?
mean, why not? Unless they're
Yeah, if
doing
you're worried
something
about
wrong.
cameras, why not?
Well, I honestly don't think there's that much trouble that anybody kissing somebody at school is going to get into compared to other things that happen at school.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
Just to
definitely.
feel more comfortable doing it, because you won't feel like somebody's watching you.
What you want to do is like pretend you're on Big Brother and talk to the camera before you kiss the girl. Go ahead, Montana.
And also, if it makes you uncomfortable, even though nobody's going to see it if it's on camera, you could go like outside of school, like when you're leaving, and just be like, "Hey, bye," and then kiss them, and then that serves double because it's not on camera, and then you can run away as fast as you can if it goes badly.
And it's a kiss goodbye, so it's a natural
Yeah.
time to kiss someone. Hey,
Yeah.
here's a hug. Coming out of the hug, quick kiss, and you did it. Kyo.
Just to add on to that, see if you can walk home together or something, and then that's plenty of opportunity.
Nico?
Yeah, you shouldn't really feel bad about the location of your first kiss. I mean, mine was at school, so, you know.
Aww.
Oh.
Loving this.
It was after a football game I lost, but that's not important. Anyway,
That's awesome though, because there's like, oh, I lost, but then like you cheered
Nico,
up.
and then
Nico-
I smooched her, but then it was in front of her little sister, and she told her parents. So
Yeah, Nico has a really good first kiss story. It was like on a football field, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was pretty sweet.
During the game.
And I just
That's
took
why
off
you
my
guys
helmet
lost.
and ran to her.
That's why you lost.
And anyway, yeah, don't feel bad about the location and the cameras. There's not some dudes just sitting there like, yeah, I'm gonna watch these kids kiss. It's really not gonna be a big issue. Yeah, it's the mouse. It's the mouse.
But Nico,
That's
if
just
there were
permanently
that
how
job,
it's
you'd
handled.
be going for it.
I'd be going for it.
All right. I think we're going to move on to our next question. Please give us a call at 888-531-7171. And this we held this from last week, and we're going to dive right into it so that we make sure that we have time for it tonight, because it's a pretty interesting conversation. And so we're going to do thread theater. I'll start with you, Will, and then we'll just work our way around the room, because I'm not exactly sure what the parts are or what the good parts are. I know, Ryan, you like to star in the play, but we'll see how it goes this time. Thread theater, feminazis, curtain up, Drew the wise guy.
Right, thank you. Feminism? I support actual feminists, the ones that believe men and women are equal. But lately, most feminists have become feminazis. Apparently, there's so many autocorrect. There's so many autocorrect knows about them. But feminazis believe that they are better than men simply because they're women. They think things like rape are worse than murder. Any joke about rape is sexism, and being white, male, and perfectly comfortable with being one or both is unacceptable. So basically, star feminazis. Star.
Killanella 666.
I think some feminists are just done with how men treat us. Like, yeah, we can vote and all and that crap, but come on. You guys think you're the
Shite.
with a Y. So it's not a bad word. Because you have a side,
Spell it
because you have a side chick, or showing everyone a girl's naked pics, or even better, posting them online and ruining her life. That's rude, and I can see why some women would be upset and go to extremes.
Drew the wise guy.
Well, we do have our share of douches, but when a guy made a joke about a girl, another girl punched him because he made a joke.
Killanella 666. Back to you, Montana.
What was the joke, though? And, well, I'm sure he survived without too much trauma. I mean, that's nothing compared to what rape victims have to go through.
Mad puppy. Oh, you got a big part, Ryan.
Yeah, really, just by chance. I think you really have the
yeah.
wrong idea about feminists and what feminists actually are. I also think that maybe you've seen some very academic discussions and not fully understood how some of the terms in them were being used. Firstly, I really don't like the word feminazi. I don't care how much you disagree with feminists, they are not comparable to a group of people who systematically exterminated millions of human beings. I'm Jewish. Allow me this complaint. The next thing you need to know is that feminism is not one big group. There's lots of different types of feminists. Most of them are very, very reasonable people. The main problem is that if you don't involve yourself in feminism, literally the only feminism you see is stuff where one person says something stupid, and then everyone else uses that as an example of why feminists are crazy. Feminists aren't crazy. They just disagree with you about some things. They also disagree with each other about some things. It's not an organized group. It's a lot of people with a lot of opinions. The only thing that really binds all feminists together is that they are for equality.
Green Day.
It's a very nice opinion you have there, Ryan. Feminism is fine. It's equality, and it is fine. Tumblr seems to have this idea that it still needs to be pushed in America when they should be pushing it for places that actually need feminism, like countries in the Middle East, some in Asia, and Africa. In America/Canada, there are some sexists, but what are they gonna do? Take equality away? No. And it's not like only men are sexist. There are plenty of sexist women, too. Tumblr likes to pretend women can't be sexist. They also like to take their sexism and call it feminism, which gives feminism a bad name. Basically what I'm saying is feminism is great, but feminists need to A. Put more energy where feminism is needed, not where equality is achieved. B. Call the sexist women out on their bull starts, and then let the world know they're not feminists.
All right. Thoughts? We're going to have to take the phone call after we discuss, so hopefully they can hear the show. But we were in the middle of Thread Theater, so we need to go to the panel first. Thoughts? You are a female, correct, Montana?
Correct?
Thoughts?
Most of the time?
Yeah.
Oh God, or just reading this was cringy, because the problem is I think they have gotten just a really bad impression of what feminism is, and the whole big paragraph of what Ryan was saying was closest to my opinion. A lot of people just have it wrong, or what I consider is wrong, because I'm a feminist, but I think feminism shouldn't even be called feminism. It should just be called equality, but that's kind of the name we started out with, and it's hard to change. So, basically. And it's more about, like, achieving equality for all people, I think. And, yeah, I mean, I don't... In the first one where the girl was saying... Or girl or guy, I'm sorry. That crazy feminists think rape is worse than murder. Okay, you can have that opinion personally, because I know a lot of people have been through that sort of thing. I believe it is kind of worse than murder, and a lot of people argue with me on that point, but it's going to get way too long if I talk about it. But yeah, there are some very polarized, controversial opinions. I just think a lot of people have been giving feminism a bad name when it really is just equality. And if you're not a feminist, you say you're not a feminist but you're for equality, that's basically meaning you're a feminist, because that's what it's for. Ryan.
Yeah. What?
I'm not getting the mic today.
He said he's not getting the mic today, which I'll try and keep it fairly short. Which isn't going to be that short. Anyways, I think one thing I need to nitpick real quick, and I always nitpick this in every conversation I have about anything that has to do with equality. Equity and equality are two very different things. And I am 110% for equity, not 110% for equality. So just to kind of give the idea of what those differences are, equity would provide equal opportunity to everyone. Equality would be basically saying everyone is the same. And we're not. I'm not the same as Nico, nor are men the same as women. And any circumstance, no one is the same. And I know that sounds like nitpicking, but I think it's an important distinction we need to make and say that everyone deserves the same opportunities, but we're not all the same. And yeah, I mean, that's one thing to just lay on the line. Also, yeah, there are most feminists are reasonable. There are a portion of feminists that are unreasonable and do give a bad rep to feminists, but I think that's how every group kind of is. There's always the outliers who are the ones that are heard because, you know, like we as people listen to the most outrageous or the loudest things, not the things that are quiet and reasonable. So
can I ask a question here? The term feminazi, did that come about because people felt that some feminists were so militant that they were to be superior or militant to be compared to a group of people such as Nazis?
I mean,
what exactly are
term.
feminazis doing that is in any way comparable to Nazis? Do they just hate men and want to round them up and kill them all? Montana? Yeah, look, how did that term begin is, I guess, my question. Yeah.
Bill O'Reilly. He started that.
Oh, it was started by a man.
Not just a man. It
I'm
was Bill
seething.
O'Reilly, the same guy who said
Not
tide comes in, tide goes out. You can't explain that with science. So I'm not going to even get into how
I think
ridiculously...
let's let Nico talk, because I don't know
Nico,
who can follow
please
that.
talk. I'm sorry. I can't even talk about this anymore.
Well, I had a few interesting points on this.
Okay.
First, tide goes in, tide goes out. And then secondly, science.
Don't ask science.
Anyway, I feel like when you're a teenager nowadays, you're going to be spending a lot of time on the internet, and it's really easy to get an idea that there are huge feminazis out there. Like, the entire group is that when you're on the internet this much. There are a lot of vocal minorities. Like, let me tell you, it's like stuff like you see hashtag kill all men.
So, in other words, when you say vocal minority, you mean they seem bigger than they are because it's a few people typing a lot.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's
okay.
like you wouldn't call every Muslim ISIS or whatever that is.
Of course
ISIS,
not.
yeah. But and you wouldn't call every feminist a feminazi, but it's really easy to feel that way when all the media you're exposed to shows the worst of it.
But what if we gave them another term other than why does everything
just rolls off the tongue?
Everything that we're angry at has to be compared to Nazis? Why?
They're just bad guys.
Hitler's the pinnacle of badness.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what Will's saying. If you can successfully compare something you're opposed to Hitler, which is generally accepted as one of the worst things that has happened in the course of human history, at what he did. So, I mean, if you can compare something successfully, make a comparison between those two, that's kind of like saying, like, this is awful. Now, very few people actually, like, compare feminists and what they call feminazis to Nazis. It's just kind of like
A funny.
it's a funny
Just a
way of
play
saying
on
you're
words.
really interested in just having like too much power and that kind of thing. But there is this annoying factor of, and I really do appreciate what he said at the beginning about sometimes it's not okay to be a white man. Like, I have so many times when people are like, "You're a white man, you wouldn't understand," and I'm like, "So help me understand. Yes, I'm white, and yes, I'm a man, but that doesn't mean that I'm an inconsiderate person." And it's just one of those situations where it's like, it would be so racist if I said you're a black man or a black woman, you wouldn't understand, or you're an Asian woman, you
Right,
wouldn't understand.
right.
But saying you're a white man, you wouldn't understand is fine.
I
Like,
do understand what you're
it
saying.
makes no sense, and
Let-
it's just.
Let me get Keo in here, and then we're going to take the call.
Well, first I liked how you pointed at Nikki when you said an Asian woman.
I didn't even realize I did that.
That's my kind of Asian woman right there.
But I think, well, first of all, I think feminazis is just kind of a play on words, and it's not literally comparing anybody to Nazis. It's just because you can just turn it into that, and it stings a little bit more than saying feminist who is extreme.
We just got a call from Rush Limbaugh. He is claiming to be the man who coined that term. He's very upset that you credited Bill O'Reilly.
Look, the tie just went out.
I'm sure they both enjoy saying
All
it.
right.
It'd
Go
be
ahead,
really
Keo.
cool if Rush Limbaugh actually called.
But
Talk to him.
Oh, with family.
He didn't call, no.
Montana's very gullible. You can't joke with her like that.
He's not a fan of the show.
Earlier in the show, we were talking about how we're going to discuss this, and then Nico was like, "Oh yeah, we're actually not going to discuss this." And Montana was like, "Oh really? Why not?" And like she completely believed Nico, so she's very gullible.
She's adorable.
Yeah. Back to what I was saying. I don't think. I mean, feminazi is kind of it's kind of offensive, and it's meant to be that way a little bit. It's meant to sting a little bit because I'm sure people get annoyed by feminists, guys, and they come up with that type of thing just because they're annoyed. But I think you see it a lot because one of the things, or in my mind, one of the things is when you get angry enough about like men or like inequality between sexes, you like that's when you're gonna be most harsh, and that's also when you're gonna be most likely to type something on Tumblr or something and post it. So all of the people who aren't speaking out about it are the majority, but they're not speaking out about it and not being extra harsh. You get what I'm saying? Kind of like everything that's why everything you see is kind of seems extra harsh.
Because you type when you're enraged.
Right.
And if you're fine, you don't type.
Yeah. Exactly.
I get you. Let's take the caller. Hello, who's calling our place?
It's Maddie.
Hi, Maddie.
Hi.
Would you like to weigh in on the subject?
Yeah, that's I read it in the email and I was like, oh, this is so great. I'm so glad we're talking about this.
Good.
Because it was a topic that was brought up in one of my classes earlier today.
Okay, great.
I think that, the term feminazi is not really, I don't know if it's a term that, like, we should advocate using just because I feel like feminist, extremist or, an extreme feminist is a better word.
I agree.
So that it's not associated with, Nazis, which, the feminism movement and, the Nazis are two very separate things that should probably not be connected. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I agree with a lot of what was said in the post, that, feminism is good in the way that it wants to kind of have women be able to have the same rights as men. And, I'm not sure I caught the whole thing because it's hard to hear. But I think Ryan said, like to have everybody not be the same, but to have, like did you say equity?
He
like,
did.
or
He said
equality, not
equity.
equity, or...
He said equity, yes.
What did you say?
Yes, equal opportunity and equity were the words he used.
Yeah, and I think that that's a very good point, because if everybody was the same, the world wouldn't work the same way. It wouldn't work very well. So I think that, giving women the same, rights as men and kind of giving them the same opportunity and kind of not objectifying them the way that, men don't get objectified is really important. But
Ryan
I
is seething, Maddie.
frown upon the kind of...
I wish you could
Like-
see Ryan seethe. You would enjoy it. But Ryan's going to speak right now.
Oh, I am.
Oh, I
Yeah.
was just
I thought you
gonna
were
say
going
one
to. You can finish,
thing.
Maddie.
One quick thing, Maddie, and then Ryan will.
just that I think like like go women is good, go men no, go women is good, but like go women, boo men is bad. Like
Yeah.
you can have the go women without the men are horrible.
Very well said. You don't. It's not a contest. There isn't going to be a winner. We're all here on the planet together.
Exactly.
We're here to collaborate, and I love that word so much more than the word compete.
Mm-hmm.
Life is a collaboration. It's a gigantic collaboration. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hi.
Hi.
So, yes, objectification is an issue. It's something that people need to work on, but by all means, it's never going to fully go away. Nonetheless, I cannot stand it. I mean, I was seething. Weezy described it with the perfect word. I cannot stand it when men are blamed for women objectification. Men are a part of it. Women are a part of it, too. And let me explain this a little bit, that one issue last year, I write for my school paper, and one of the articles we wrote was about how in movies, particularly, I think this article was about the Avengers, how women were being objectified. In this case, Scarlett Johansson was wearing a very revealing costume as the character in the movie. She took that role. No man forced her into that role. They came up with the role, which is partially their fault, and she took the role and said, I'll show off my body.
There's a
in
lot of
exchange for
pressure on women in show business to objectify themselves. They are told when
she's loaded already. It's not like
you don't start out as Scarlett Johansson. You start out as trying to make your entry into the field. Nikki's going to talk.
The reason she's Scarlett Johansson is because of her body.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a big part of it. No. Not in. I'm not because no. Obviously, no. That did not come out right.
Yeah,
Right now, it came out horribly. It came out horribly, and I apologize already.
No, but I know what he meant. I know what he meant.
Scarlett Johansson isn't in the position she's in. I mean,
it's not
maybe someone else
just
can finish the
acting.
sentence for me.
She's
It's not.
beautiful.
It's not only the acting,
part of
but
what
it's
she is
like the
that's
whole package.
That's
Then good for her. Then
magnificent
good for
is her
her.
personality and her appearance, and
Then-
they all are
Yeah.
part
then
of her
good
package.
for her.
Right.
If it's such a big issue, then on an individual basis, women who feel it's an issue cannot take those parts. And I know that that's not easy to do, but you've heard me talk enough on the show. I don't really care about what's easy. I care about what needs to be done. And if you think it's an issue, don't take the part. I know that's not easy to do, but you got
It's
to
not
get it
just
done.
in acting; it's in the
I
music
mean-
industry, and we're going to address it next with the letter that Charlotte Church read to the BBC, because women are definitely told that if you want to make it, this is what people do, and it's not always in the best interest of a young artist to swing on a wrecking ball while licking a hammer. But and I'm not talking about anybody specifically, but someone may have been told, if you want to grow up your image, this is what you're going to need to do. And maybe Kelly Clarkson said, no, I'm simply not doing it.
Exactly.
And that's harder, but she was successful. But how many young women just with a guitar are in their dad's business now because they couldn't make it in music because they weren't willing to do what all of the male 40-year-old managers
then
were
you're not
telling them.
talented enough to make it in the music business.
I don't know.
If you're not talented enough to make it based on your talent, and you're not going to show off
No,
your body,
you don't know. You haven't been in their position.
You're correct. I have not.
Should we read Charlotte's letter
Go
with
ahead.
Maddie on the phone? All right, I'm not going to
I'm
let
still on the
Nico.
phone.
I'm going to read it because if I let Nico read it,
Also, by the way, just one more thing. Magic Mike was a movie. Men are totally objectified too. Not as much, but we are objectified too.
I haven't.
But if you think of the percentage of women artists and women, actresses and, women in the media who are, their image is their talent plus, their body or some, part of themselves is objectified, in compared to the percentage of, men who are their talent plus, their body image or whatever.
Right, no, I
It's
get
much
that, but also
higher
one of
in
the other
favor
things that
of
comes with
women.
that is that a lot of times I know people I know plenty of girls who whose backgrounds on their phones are David Beckham with his shirt off, and that's not objectification apparently. But if a guy has a girl in a bikini and as his iPhone background, that is.
I disagree.
I think-
it is.
Well,
it's the same thing.
I think,
Right, but,
I
but
mean,
that's what. I'm saying it is too. That apparently was sarcastic.
I think the bigger point is how many famous people, how many famous men that are ugly are there versus how many famous women that are seen as ugly aesthetically.
Jake.
Excellent point.
Jake has a point.
Yeah, I had a point, and then Keo kind of did it better. But I'm still gonna bring up. I had a piece of evidence
Oh,
to back
hi,
up my
Dave.
point. But
Maddie
it's
says
gonna
hi,
be.
Jay.
Oh, hi. I can't hear you. I don't have headphones, but still.
Oh,
Oh.
sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Anyway, this is gonna be like the nerdiest thing to bring in here. But recently there was a alternate art Spider-Woman issue, Obscure Randomness, in which she was drawn with like a ridiculously sized butt, and everyone was in huge controversy. And then there was like this one exactly the same issue with Spider-Man from like 20 years ago in the same position with the same like obviously relative because he's a male character, but still relative proportions, and no one cared. So I agree with Ryan. There is totally objectification, but objectification is in our own minds, and we're trained to see female objectification a lot more, which means that one, it bothers a lot more people, but two, we're not as bothered by male objectification because it's not an issue right now. And so it's something that we have to deal with as a people, and we have to realize that both sides can be right in an argument in that, yes, female objectification happens and it's a big deal, but so too does male objectification, and we have to kind of get to a middle point.
Right, and I love how you said in any argument both sides can be right, because I think that's such a key point. And then because whenever you are arguing with a friend, if you can keep that in mind, there's not going to be a winner. This is just we're just really discussing this because everyone has something valid to say, and so let's just take that in. It's all part of my experience here on Earth has been in this journey as a female, as has Montana's and Sam's, and Nikki's experience on Earth has been as a male, and so we can't.
Asian woman
has mine not.
and so I don't know exactly what he experiences when he looks at Scarlett Johansson. So what he's saying is completely valid because it's what's coming from Nikki. That was his perspective. Is that one of the things he likes about her is how she looks. One of the things your friend likes about David Beckham is how he looks, and so that's always going to be a part of human nature. But what I'm going to read is a letter, a lecture that Charlotte Church gave to the BBC, or on the BBC. I'm not exactly sure the origin of it, but it's kind of been breathed new life and has been kind of floating around Facebook, which is where it caught my eye. And I just wanted, by way of giving you a little bit of backstory, Charlotte Church was one of those little 11-year-old magical kids who just has this like incredibly fine operatic voice, and she would sing with orchestras and she sings classical music, and she just has that intonation where you can tell that she's a classically trained opera artist. So, but she was a young kid, so she would go on a lot of shows, and she was just this marvel. I mean, she was probably on Oprah and things of that nature. So then, as she became a young lady, her record label was putting all kinds of pressures on her, which they never would have done when she was 11, 12, 13, and then suddenly at 20, this is the origin of this letter. I think now she's a young mother in her 30s, but she wrote this. I'd like you to imagine a world in which male musicians are routinely expected to act as submissive sex objects. Picture Beyonce's husband, Jay-Z, stripped down to a tee-back bikini thong, sex-kittening his way through a boulevard of suited and booted women for their pleasure, or Britney Spears' ex, Justin Timberlake, in buttock-clenching denim hot pants riding on the bonnet of a pink Chevy, explaining to his audience how he'd like to be their teenage dream. Before we all become a little bit too hot beneath the gusset, of course, remember she's British, so she's going to say things like whilst. Don't be alarmed. Before we all become a little too hot beneath the gusset, of course, these scenarios are not likely to become a reality, unless for comedy's sake. The reason for this is that these are roles that the music industry has carved out specifically for women. It is a male-dominated industry with a juvenile perspective on gender and sexuality. When I was 19 or 20, I found myself in this position, being pressured into wearing more and more revealing outfits. And the lines I had spun at me again and again, generally by middle-aged men, were, "You look great. You have a great body. Why not show it off?" Or, "Don't worry, it'll look classy. It'll look artistic." I felt deeply uncomfortable about the whole thing, but I was often reminded by record company executives just whose money was being spent. Whilst I can't defer all blame away from myself, I was barely out of my teenage years, and the consequence of this portrayal of me is that I am frequently abused on social media, being called a slut, whore, and a catalog of other indignities that I am sure you're also sadly very familiar with. Now I find it difficult to promote my music in the places where it would be best suited because of my history. So she's kind of painted herself into a corner where at 19 or 20, she should have had a mother or a dad protecting her and saying, she's not doing this, we're going back to college. But, and I don't know her history or why it didn't happen or what the imagery is, but, and that's the other side of the coin, is that after you go ahead and do what's expected of you, you're then slut shamed, probably mostly by other females. Jake?
I'm just going to jump in and say one more point, because I'm in the feminist club at Vistamar, and this got brought up. It's the kind of same double standard in which you're a prude or a slut, there's no in between.
Right.
And that kind of is way too rampant, and there's other people who have more things to say about it. I just wanted to throw it out there before I hide my tech hole. Oh.
Will.
Well, yeah, I actually kind of want to pose a question from
Okay.
that. Why is it that girls, who sleep with a lot of guys, are considered dirty or slutty, whereas guys who sleep with a lot of girls, if anything, they're revered for that? Why? I just don't. I mean, I get there's a certain innocence factor, but I still don't understand why why girls are shamed for that, but why men are praised for that. I just don't understand.
Is it,
I might have an answer to that, actually.
Maddie has an answer for that.
Well, this may not be an exact answer, but just in my psychology class, we were talking about how, basically the reason why people seek partners who look like them is because, you subconsciously want to pass on your genes, and when you find somebody who looks like you, it's more genes that, you could produce that look more like you. And that, is something that could be applied here, is that, the basic needs of a human being is eating, sleeping, and sex. And so when guys have sex with a lot of women, that would equal many more children. But if a girl has sex with a lot of men, it's still just one child per pregnancy. So that might be an underlying subconscious thing. I don't know. There's something to add to that.
It's definitely more than an underlying subconscious thing. It has to do with the woman is expected to bear the child and be primarily responsible for raising the child. How is she going to have a good, comfortable, healthy, loving, nurturing home when she's busy sleeping with a lot of different men? The act of sexual activity is considered, very raw, and the act of holding a baby is considered very innocent. The raw thing leads to the innocent thing, and this is one of the conundrums of being alive. Therefore, male sexuality, sexual behavior is more tolerated or expected, and the woman is expected to be super hot, super sexy until she's holding a baby, and then she's got to be a mom. So it's really tricky for women. I know it's tricky for men too. Keo, what do you think?
On that note, this is something that I learned in a psychology class that I took a couple semesters ago, and it's basically I think this is basically what Maddie just said, but maybe I'll say it in a different way that'll make a little bit more sense in my head, at least. We want to pass on our genes, so if you're a man and you want to pass on your genes, you don't want that woman sleeping with anyone else because you want that kid to be yours. If you're a woman, it's your kid because you're the one having the kid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it goes back to evolution. You want to pass on your genes to the next generation.
And it's considered a threat if you see some other guy with your woman. Go ahead, Montana.
So to get way less technical about this,
Mm-hmm.
it was intellectual. Now it's not going to be.
Excellent.
When I was in 8th grade, I was kind of debating this. So I asked my friend, and she just straight up told me well, if it's kind of she was it's kind of like locks and keys. If there's one key that can open a bunch of locks, it's a great key. If there's, if you know what I mean, if there's one lock that opens by a bunch of keys, it's a terrible lock. And I was just okay.
Explain
So,
this.
and then I asked my other friends about it, and they're yeah, that just makes sense. That just makes sense. So, it definitely makes sense when it goes back to the evolution part of things, but it's really just that mindset of that makes sense. We should believe in that. That needs to be gotten rid of because it's detrimental to everybody.
What is?
Not only
Shitty
the standard of women,
a double
you can't sleep
standard in terms of sexuality
for women,
sexual
but
behavior?
also for men because what if they don't want to sleep with everybody?
Well, a lot of men really just want to find a great girl and be a wonderful man. And not every man needs to spread his seeds all over town or piss all over every tree like a dog to prove that he's something or other. Because it's kind of ridiculous. And, and maybe we are evolving. And maybe that was biologically how men and women were when Adam met Eve. But
Oh, cool.
I would hope that we're evolving past that, where everyone is realizing that love is what it. You didn't mention love in those three things that you said that we all need, Maddie. But I think that we need love more than we need food. Jake?
But as well.
I don't even want to destroy love right now biologically, but I'm going to get back to the point of we're going to go in biology. I'm going to go to like the kind of pack mentality of like wild animals or like lions, in which there's an alpha male, and in a society where a bunch of guys can have sex with a bunch of women and feel all like alpha males, they feel good about themselves. But again, it's the kind of fear of someone else taking your woman, and it's also the kind of stuff that had the kind of like, the man goes out and hunts and provides for the whole family, while the woman just stays at home and raises the kids. And that totally worked for thousands of years. We're past that now, and that's the kind of stuff we have to. It's part of us. We biologically feel it, but we have to realize that we can unlearn that over time, and we have to, because it's a really important step for the next 1,000 years.
We have to challenge ourselves. I
exactly.
absolutely agree with that, Jake. That it's key that we can't just say it's biology and shrug our shoulders. We always have to challenge ourselves to be better human beings if we're going to evolve. And I think it's our responsibility. It's not just that we should evolve. It's that we have evolved to the point where we understand responsibility. Therefore, we must evolve exponentially with that understanding.
But if you add the biology to the feminism, what the end result of like a man not having sex with as many women, like only finding one woman, versus like hang on, I had this thought. Wait. So it's like it's more acceptable for like a man to be like, like I only want to sleep with one girl after I get married. Like like his friends might call him some names or something, but it's not going to be like a huge thing. But if a girl is like like, oh, I don't want to have sex till I get married, I only want to get married to one guy, like then she's like this ultimate prude, which is kind of like the like the man kind of not following the biological like standard versus like the women not following the biological standard is kind of like where the feminism is again, because it's kind of off balance. Does that make sense?
Yes, it absolutely
and
makes sense.
I'm really sorry, but I think I have to jump off the line.
Okay,
I have
go
a
ahead.
paper due tomorrow morning.
Go ahead, jump off. We love talking with you, and we will speak to you again very soon.
Okay, talk to you guys.
All right,
later.
Maddie.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Will?
Just another question that's arise from all this, because I agree, this all makes sense. I agree with the whole biological thing, but do you think maybe because of that, more women are objectified? Because do you think maybe there's a correlation between the two?
No, absolutely. In terms of what happened at Charlotte Church, absolutely, and that's one of the things that I wanted to discuss was when it comes to someone trying to share their art and being told, oh, no, you can't just be a painter, you have to be a sexy painter. Why every Halloween are we not just a nurse, we're a sexy nurse? Like, why can't you just be a vampire? No, you have to be a sexy vampire. Why do all women feel this pressure?
Because they want to hook up on Halloween.
No, but Halloween exemplifies what I'm talking about. Why can't we just be who we are? Why do we have to add sexy to that? Can't just being smart and funny be sexy?
You're allowed to. No one's saying you can't. There's pressure to do it, but you're totally allowed to. And some people make a conscious choice. Some people make a subconscious choice not to. But like, if you ask plenty of like girls who are like seniors in high school who are my age, why they're sexy nurses for Halloween? Because it's cute and they want to hook up with a guy. Not because they feel pressured by the environment.
They can hook up with a guy any day of the week by simply saying, hello, guy, I'm interested in hooking up. They don't have to buy a costume.
It works a little better.
I don't think that there's any question that they might want to, but I think the question is, why is there that pressure? Like, that pressure shouldn't exist, that they should have to. And I don't think that it should be, when we bring up sexism, I feel like it always kind of goes towards females, but there's definitely, as we've said, male sexism, and it might be a little less like obvious or a little bit more hidden, but I think it's not something that should get ignored completely.
No, I absolutely agree, and I see all kinds of imagery of men dressed in all kinds of sexy,
and not even just
take your shirt off, and even on The Bachelor,
imagery, but like
I don't need to see you dancing.
Just like expectations that people have, like you have to be a man. Like, what does that even mean, really?
No, and I mean, Instagram is kind of like creating this culture where men have to have chiseled abs to take their selfie, and it's like that's not the kind of guy I'm interested in knowing. Montana?
So, kind of getting back to this while also with the Halloween thing, I think with the Halloween thing, it's kind of what Ryan said, because I have a lot of girlfriends and they're like, yeah, I just want to hook up on Halloween. And yeah, sure, if you want to do that. The pressure part, I think that more goes towards her Charlotte Church's article, because like on Halloween, yes, there is some pressure for you to look sexy and like compete with the other girls because everybody's gonna be wearing the same outfit. You just have to make yours shorter than the other ones. But with Charlotte Church's thing, I think it's that, but like put way to the extreme, because her entire career rested on when she was 19 or 20, rested on the possibility of her like not wearing any clothes, so people would find her because like, oh, you're really hot, and then hopefully get into her music. And like when you were talking about you were saying something about like the music, or no, with Scarlett Johansson, and she didn't have to take that part. Absolutely, but it's very difficult not to, because if you don't, you're not going to get a job.
It's not easy. I mean, I'm not
I know.
I'm not going to say it's easy, but life isn't easy.
It isn't easy at all. And I think, I mean, ideal scenario, all women just refuse to be objectified if they don't want to be.
Right.
And we change the music and television industry. However, because of the powers that be, that probably will not happen for a long time. So the best thing you can do is just make sure you treat yourself with respect, and you don't do something that you know you will end up regretting.
And we can all support artists on YouTube who are just really being authentically themselves and artists.
And I also a piece of advice that my dad gave me when I was a little kid. He noticed I was getting into terrible music, and he was not having it. So when I was a little kid, he used to make me like sit down in front of the computer, and he'd play me like music, and he'd make me close my eyes, because if I saw the pictures, I'd automatically like have a perception of what this person was. So just sit down for 5 minutes, play some music, and don't look at what they look like.
That's cool. Jake, were you going to say something?
Yeah, my point that I wanted to throw in was that whether or not you take the role still exists.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, oh, this one actress is blamable for this entire role and its objectification. It's, yeah, sure, it's never going to happen that every single actress is going to not take a role, right?
Right.
The point being that roles like that are written, and it's okay that they're written, but we should realize what they're doing, their effects culturally, socially, and we should be able to distinguish between, like, accurate portrayals and fictional portrayals of people, and that's kind of muttered in today, where there's ridiculous amounts of media constantly thrown at us, and even we are producing media with our phones, and it's not even us, really. It's like this artificial us that we create. So there's a whole lot of social crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, good point. Let's jump on the phone and see who's there. Hello, thanks for calling our place.
Hello.
Hello, Mrs. Colfer?
Hello.
Mrs. Colfer,
Yes.
speak to us.
Hi.
Hi.
I had two things.
Yes.
One was when Maddie was on the line,
Mm-hmm.
and the other thing is about the sexism thing.
Okay.
And what you said a minute ago about the costumes and how they have, like, a Maleficent, and then they've got sexy Maleficent.
Right.
It's kind of like how society wants it to be. Society wants you to be as sexy as you possibly can be. And it's the same way while walking down Times Square. There are poster boards and things all over with things like lingerie or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about what Maddie said, when this is just an example, when she was kind of arguing, I don't want to say arguing, but that's the best word I could come up with at the moment.
Yeah, it's okay.
But when she was arguing, I understand that she was trying to get her point across, but you don't want to, not really jeopardize, but jeopardize a friendship over something that's as simple as a little discussion.
Did you think she was jeopardizing a friendship?
she could have been, she could have not been. It's
Well, I mean, I think she was getting kind of What you mean? She was getting kind of heated with Ryan, or they were disagreeing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all in the spirit of good fun, and we always have a lot of hearty discussions even before and after the show about the subjects that we discuss, and I would not worry about.
Maddie and I have gone at it so many times
Yeah.
in the car on the way
In fact,
back.
you should
don't
ride in
even
the
know.
car with Maddie and Ryan, and if there were guns, one of them wouldn't be here.
But it's
I mean, I think she's against guns, but I'm all for them, so I'd have one.
Then there would be another argument. Montana?
Yeah, no, I mean, I see how to some people it could look like it would be like they're kind of fighting, but like us, we always just in the car ride here, back, and in like the studio, we're always just yelling about something. Like Ryan mostly. One time we got in like an hour-long argument over like whether Ryan can take the last piece of pizza.
Oh my god, that was ridiculous.
This is
theoretically,
so angry.
he didn't even want it.
I don't think we should talk about it
We should not.
right now,
Okay,
Ryan.
okay.
No.
It's
But like it's all good. But thanks for concern.
Jake?
Yeah, I was just gonna put in. Me and Ryan argue all the time. I don't think we agree on like any points politically, and I'm okay with that because we're really good friends. And I don't think his opinions or my opinions are gonna affect a friendship because I don't care how he votes. I just want to be friends with a friendly guy.
I too am okay with it as long as you're never in a position of power.
Nico?
Yeah, I feel like these guys just love to argue, and it's always fun to share your viewpoints with people. But I want to go back to what Jordan said about sexualizing and how society has pressure. And I find that the easiest culprit to really point to when we're talking about societal pressure is, in fact, marketing. Like, if we go back to the Avengers example, there was a poster of everyone looking all big and proud, and then Scarlett Johansson, was it? Yeah, she was just showing her butt in spandex. And then we're talking about sexualization. Obviously, that's to lure people in. And then we look at the men and how they're all like big, tall, strong, and how sexualization applies there. Like how the women just want the alpha male, the idea of that.
That couldn't be true because we love Harry Potter.
Yeah, but with marketing, you're really boiling down to, okay, what's working right now, and we're going to use that. Like the idea of, the vampire, that got really popular because of Twilight, and, they saw that worked, and marketing was like, hey, we'll go for this.
I think marketing, you can blame marketing or advertising departments, but I think they're just doing their job, and they're trying to get as most eyeballs as possible to. That's why you will see a woman in no clothing wearing work boots. Is she the person purchasing the work
I
boots?
love that one.
No, she's not the person purchasing the work boots for her line of work. I do not think boots are required. But when men drive by that billboard, they will look because it's a scantily clad woman, and they're like, you know what? I need sex and boots. Those are two things.
Yeah, which is the real sad part. They work off statistics. It's like statistically, men like sex. So, statistically, men like sex. And so they're going to put that up there.
Here's the thing that I could never really quite understand. Females on the panel, please help me with this. Why, if women are being the purchasers of Cosmo magazine, is there some sexy woman on the cover of Cosmo magazine? Is it because we think that we're going to become her if we purchase this magazine?
I get it.
Sam?
No, you go first.
Let Sam go. No, Sam, because
No,
you
you
haven't
go
talked yet
first.
today. So. Yeah.
Yeah, speak.
Oh jeez. It's because like me personally, I've gotten over that. I was like when I had low self-esteem and everything. But like when you see like someone beautiful on the cover of a magazine, you're like, oh, I want to be just like you. And they're beauty tips from that person. You're like, oh, I can be even more like that person. And society has really ruined self-esteem for teenage girls and people in general. And it really, 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 really sucks. And about the alpha male kind of thing, I just wanted to share a little tidbit thing. I saw a play once. It took place in the 1970s, right before Roe v. Wade. And it was where these women started this whole colony on like an island off Washington called Women Land, but they changed the A in women to Y because they didn't want men like at all associated with them because and they also said you can't be a real feminist if you're not a lesbian.
There's
which
a
I
place
thought
like
was
that
funny.
in Russia. Not exactly like that, but
Yeah. So that was just my little thing from the 14th.
Even lesbians at some point in time
Yes.
will need some sperm.
Yes, sperm is required.
It's kind of crucial.
Yeah.
Montana?
Oh, okay. So another thing like when I also had like low self-esteem, I feel like everybody has this in middle school, and it gets better as long as you like work at it. But I had really low self-esteem, and there's this one pizza place that is amazing. It's so good, and I've been going there since I was in kindergarten, and it just so happens that everybody who works there, all the girls who work there, are so pretty. They're so ridiculously
Hooters.
hot. No, but they're not even revealing. You just look at them and you're like, basically.
That's
Anyway,
exactly my
so
face when I say attractive
I
women.
went to that pizza place like 3 times a week. Just to because I was like, maybe if I eat more pizza, I'll look like them.
So it was your version of Cosmopolitan magazine.
Sort of, but I gained all my weight in my face and my ankles. So
Was the pizza good?
Ankle
so
weights.
good. I still go every 3 days.
Right.
Like ankle weights. But no, I mean, I that's all true. But I also want to back that up. Like, I'd be more encouraged to eat at that restaurant if the pizza's good. Like, I'm
If there
so-
was attractive women.
but the same thing, like part of the reason I saw the Avengers was for the action. Part of it was for Scarlett Johansson, and that's just me being straight up honest. Like, I want to see that. I'm sorry, and
That's why I saw it too.
Is our caller still on the phone?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump off and let you go. Have a wonderful evening. Get plenty of sleep tonight, and have a good day at school tomorrow. And free up
You
our phone
too.
line. We are at 888-531-7171. Thank you for calling in. Yes, Montana?
Oh, just one more thing about the pizza place.
We
The girls
need to-
who
oh.
work there, it's not like they're being objectified. They're not made to wear really short shorts or no top. They're just really well put together. And one of the best pieces of advice, if you think you don't if you don't have enough self-confidence and you want to be pretty, don't go for taking your clothes off. Go for just putting yourself together, because more than anything, confidence is key.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will be very attracted to your confidence.
Yeah, especially if you have a cool sense of style and you know who you are and everything. Should we... You wanted to say something, Keo?
I think Sam wanted to say
Sam,
something.
go ahead. Yeah.
You sure? I wanted to say something. Well, when I'm thinking about that, appearance matters a lot. Like, if you go to a place and people are wearing sandals and open shirts, you're gonna think a much different thing than if they're wearing business shoes and
shirts.
yeah, open shirts or something else. So it's even you can be attracted because of beautiful people, but also just how you're presenting yourself. So it's appearance a lot. And also there's something that you said about society has ruined self-esteem. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm asking do you think self-esteem of women has gotten worse as from the past, or do you think it's the same or better from the past?
Good question.
Oh, that's directed towards me.
Or anybody.
Yeah, anybody.
Montana, help.
Well, I'll go first because I've been alive longer.
That's true.
They used to sell this machine that there was a piece of cloth that wrapped around your butt, and you just stood there and it shook.
This was
And-
on Mad Men.
Yes, and it was a thing that you saw in magazines, and so women
What
have
did it
always
do?
been.
What did it do?
I don't think it.
What was
I-
it supposed to do?
I think it made money for the people who made that machine. I
What
mean
was their selling point?
that it was
going to
you were going to take fat off of your
okay, so
buttockle
make you-
area.
Okay, make you more.
Or exercise without. And the woman in the picture was probably reading a book while some piece of machinery was moving her.
Posterior.
Like the shake weighting. Yeah, she was.
But you have to actually shake a shake weight.
Well, in other words, there's always been ads in the back of magazines. Or look like this, or be shapely, or do. And even for boys, it would be don't be a 100-pound weakling. Don't get sand kicked in your face, and then look like a muscle man. So it really went both ways in terms of your self-esteem being based upon your appearance. And I think throughout my lifetime, we've always had to fight against that. Do I feel like things are evolving? I think they would be evolving if there weren't so much media now, as Sam was saying. It's in your face. You don't have to just be walking by a billboard or looking at television. It's in your face constantly. Have you guys seen the viral video of there's a man driving, and I guess over his shoulder he's videotaping his daughter just doing a series of selfies.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the various expressions that she's making to finally get to a picture that she likes.
That's because people come from ego and not from love anymore.
Well, I do that too when I take
But did
selfies.
people ever come more from love than they came from ego? Is the
I'd like to
question.
think so.
I don't think so.
Go ahead, Montana.
I feel like people especially women, have always been objectified. It's just been different. Like now, it's like through the media, but like 1800s, it was through completely different means. Like you were
Wire
literally an
dancing.
object.
You had to wear a corset.
You had to
like
wear a
where-
corset.
where you could break your ribs, trying to make yourself look
Mhm.
curvy. So I think human nature has always been there, but like Jake said, I think our challenge is that use this media to kind of try to set a good example and evolve other people to the stuff that really matters, because there's way more stuff that matters truly than what exactly you look like. So we are Our Place Out Loud. I am Louise Palanker, and this has been our captivating cast, and we will see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wondering, hoping, reaching, wishing I could find my way. Then I found our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. I may look a little hazy and I may feel a little crazy. I'm sifting through confusion and I'm searching for solutions, and I know I'm answer bound, 'cause I found our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. Hear you, heal you, steer you back to kindness. Your soul may be in tatters. You'll learn what really matters. Our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. Hear you, heal you, steer you back to kindness. Your soul may be in tatters. You'll learn what really matters. Our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. Our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. Hear you, heal you, steer you back to kindness. Your soul may be in tatters. You'll learn what really matters. Our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care it. Our place, you're not alone at our place. I've been out there wandering. I've been in here wondering, hoping, reaching, wishing I could find my way. Then I